Ooh, the mail's here. Man, this is heavy. Wow, look at all this fan mail. Let's see. The podcast is too long, the music is annoying. Where's Bob and who is this guy? Let's just put these over here. What's this one say? Dear Ron, really enjoy the podcast. How about doing a story about families who love Bob Ross, passing the joy of painting down from generation to generation? Think that would make a real fun episode. Yours truly, K. Wolowski. Yeah, like I'm gonna find multiple generations of Bob Ross fans from the same family.
Ron?
Tom! How the heck did you get in here?
You left the basement window open again. I couldn't help but overhear that you're looking for families that share a love of Bob Ross.
Yeah?
Well, my family loves Bob Ross. And not just me, but my daughter, my wife, and let me tell you about her dad. My father-in-law isn't just a fan, he's a certified Bob Ross instructor.
What? Tom, you've been helping me make this podcast for decades now. When were you planning on sharing this happy little secret?
Now?
Well, your timing couldn't be more perfect. To the Joy-Mobile! In the 1980s and the 1990s, Bob Ross became a fixture in households across the U.S. Maybe Grandma watched The Joy of Painting. Maybe you did. Maybe you watched with Grandma. In this almighty episode, we'll meet families who just can't stop talking about Bob, and in some cases, can't stop painting like him either. Our first stop, Greenville, Tennessee, and a very colorful character.
There he comes. He lives right there in that brush. Just tap him out. There we go. We got a whole family of trees now. We got a mama and a papa and a little one.
Are you excited?
About
having an interview about Bob Ross.
I'm not used to it.
That makes two of us, Papa.
In this family, Randy Claxton's better known as Papa. That's his granddaughter Morgan laughing at me. Daughter Renee and son-in-law Tom are with us too.
Now you can hear me, yes?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yay.
Yay, everybody's on.
Randy is the family patriarch, 72 years old, former military. He's done his share of living and of moving around.
This is our 15th house with my wife and I.
While in the Navy, Randy worked on submarines. Then he ran a nuclear power plant. He and his family would eventually land in Florida.
We lived in Beltona, which wasn't far from New Smyrna Beach. And it was a habit for Mom and I. Every Sunday, we went to a different place looking for a diner to sit down and eat breakfast at. And one day, we're in New Smyrna Beach Diner, and they have a map of the town. I'm looking at the map while we're waiting for our food, and I'm going, holy smokes, look at this, Mom. They got a Bob Ross store here. So Monday morning, Mom and I got in the car. We went to go see the Bob Ross store and found out that it wasn't a store. It was the art studio where they taught people how to become Bob Ross instructors.
You know, it's a good place to just go and look at paintings.
And so that day I signed up for classes.
Randy didn't need much persuading. 30 years and probably 10 houses earlier, destiny had called him here through his local public television station.
So one Sunday, I'm sitting there flipping channels, and sure enough, there's some guy painting. And I love painting. I love drawing and all that. So I'm going to watch this show. And wow, I like this. I could do that. Went to the store and I bought a Bob Ross kit, brought it home. I set up a space down in my basement and I turned the music on and I painted. And I've been painting ever since.
My growing up, he was in the Navy and I was just a little itty bitty thing. My father was always involved in art, whether it was building models or painting. It wasn't his career, it was just what he did. For me, my family's the most important thing in the universe to me. And I remember sitting there with my father watching Bob Ross. I mean, we would watch every Sunday.
Look here, watch. Maybe there's a little right there. I don't know. You decide. Little place for the mountain goat to walk around the mountain there. He needs a little place like that. Don't laugh. Yeah. He likes to go on a little Sunday hike, come around the mountain, see what's on the other side.
So I definitely don't have the same, like, amazing artistic abilities that my grandfather does, because Papa's insane. It truly, like, they're so pretty. I remember watching Bob Ross with Papa, too. It's like, oh, got some happy little trees, and we got a happy little accident. It's like, it's so fun, and it's so relaxing. It's so happy. I genuinely don't remember a time in my history that I wasn't watching Bob Ross with my family.
Son-in-law Tom is a different kind of artist. He's a musician, a sound designer. In fact, Tom mixes this podcast. Tom, throw a squirrel sound effect in here. Let the people know. So it's Bob's inherent nature that attracts Tom instead.
At a lot of crossroads in my life, I couldn't see my life without being creative and music. I want to attribute some of that to Bob Ross. He made you feel like you could do it. I fell in love with his personality, how calming he was.
And when Tom falls in love with Randy Claxton's daughter, he not only inherits a Bob Ross-loving father-in-law, he also inherits his father-in-law's paintings.
You just showed me that lion painting. So that's his?
Yep, that's one of Randy's classics.
I wish I had my camera so I could show you the panda one, because I think that one's one of the best ones ever. And then I know Papa still has the squirrel that he did, which is like insane. That's my grandma's favorite.
And around here someplace, we've got a couple of the floral ones too.
Randy's classics. Oh yeah, Papa's certified in florals and wildlife too.
I wanted to learn how to do animals, and they taught me how to do it, but you still have to put the brush onto the canvas.
I'm just going to just put a little highlight on this rascal. About like that. Something about like that. Just to show you how it's done. Then set you loose on the whole world. Because once you learn this, you experience freedom. Canvas and paint. Oh, what you can do with it.
Our next stop in this Bob Ross family affair, Lancaster, Pennsylvania, Amish country, and home to certified Ross instructor Carolyn Soletto.
I found Bob on television. I was just turning channels, and there was this guy painting a mountain, and I was fascinated. And I remember calling my mother in and saying, check this guy out. He paints. It's wonderful. And she knew about it. She said, yeah, your grandfather watches him all the time. And I would watch, and it was always something different. And I just felt such a connection.
Just make up little stories. This is your world, so however you want it.
Carolyn wanted to buy a Bob Ross painting set for her Bob Ross-loving grandfather.
And I couldn't find one. And I was talking about it at work, and one of the guys I worked with said, hey, why didn't you ask me? I just became a Bob Ross instructor. And that was it. I said, give me your class schedule. I went to every class. I was always talking about it, telling them about it, showing them my paintings. I was just so excited.
Carolyn would share that excitement with her younger sister Janine and Janine's young son Jared. Jared's grown up now. He's a culinary specialist in the Navy.
What do you like to cook?
I cook a lot of Italian food, actually. Our whole family's Italian. That's kind of what I know. So
Same here. Same here. Is it sauce or gravy?
sauce.
Okay, good for you. That's the right answer.
With my love of like food, I try to use that as an example, how he had his love for painting. So he wanted to share that with the people that mattered to him. I try to do the same thing.
It's a good thing I took up painting instead of cooking because my eggs don't come out too well.
Jared was my helper, so whenever I had classes, I would bring him with me, and you used to help me set up. You'd paint all day. He was one of my students, and then he would help me break everything down and bring everything home.
The first one I did was a mountain range. It was a snowy mountain range, and there was a deer in there and everything.
I'm just putting in these same old trees while you're watching the deer there. It's interesting, these deer, for some reason, took a liking to my hair and pulled it off nearly.
And Jared was always so patient and could sit there and paint along with all the adults. And everybody was always amazed with him and his abilities and stuff. And then the same thing later on with Adrian.
Yep, Jared's younger sister Adrian got the Bob bug too. And a few years later, aunt and niece were in the dining room doing their first Bob Ross painting.
I remember just being very proud of it. Like, it was the first time really painting on a canvas. It looked like a sunset, with the blue, the yellows, the reds.
We're going to have a beautiful sunset. So this is the sun, so we'll start from here and work outward. We want this area to be the brightest part of our painting. Okay, ready? Let's just go in here, hit it, and begin doing this. Oh my gosh. And just start, look at that.
I got some of Aunt Carolyn's paintings and gave them to my friends for Christmas at one point as a gift, and they loved them. They still have them hanging up in their rooms. Like every time I go over, I'm like, oh, there's a painting. Like you could find a piece of art and be like, it like resonates. Oh,
That's when I send them down into the basement and they say, pick whatever you want.
Carolyn was Bob Ross's real-life friend. She's long been committed to carrying on Bob's legacy of encouragement and positivity. And naturally, that's something her family gets to see up close. Sister Janine recently got to watch Carolyn teach 150 happy little painters on Twitch.
I only met Bob maybe once or twice. I could just picture him just glowing, knowing that all of this is going on. I'm very proud of her accomplishments, and I know she could go far. I mean, just seeing the comments on the Twitch, it was just, everything was just so beautiful.
Just put in a happy little glow. Don't want to set this on fire. All we want to do is create a little glow right across here. Be careful. Once again, this bright red can eat up your whole world in just a heartbeat.
And to have my sister following in his footsteps is just amazing to me.
It's the Holy Trinity, they call it. Mr. Rogers, who taught you to love yourself, Steve Irwin, which taught you to love the world, and then you had Bob Ross, who taught you to love life.
Sharing it with the students is wonderful, and I always love to hear their stories. But sharing it with the family does bring it to a different level because it's more dear to my heart. You know, when they're interested and they want to see and they want to hear, it just makes me feel so good. And it just reinforces in me over and over again about how this touches everybody, especially when they say, hey, I want to paint. Like Janine said to me a couple of weeks ago, we haven't painted in a while, we've got to paint. And that I think means more to me even than them looking at the pictures from TwitchCon, is that they actually want to sit there and hear me drone on and show them how to paint and how to do something.
Adrienne just said the other day that she wants to go to art school.
What does Aunt Carolyn have to say about that?
I'm always proud of everything, but going to art school, that would be the culmination because that's something I always wanted to do. So if you could do that, that would be just the ultimate of everything.
I feel like going to art school, I feel like it would connect me more to like my mom and my aunt and everything.
And whether it's sharing her love of Bob with her family or with folks itching to paint happy little trees around the country, Carolyn Soletto is grateful.
I had to get out of teaching for a while because all of the shops around me closed. But it seems like these last couple of years, suddenly things are opening up again and I'm getting chances to teach again and to go places and talk about Bob, and that brings me joy.
You know me. I'm fanatical about people having friends, and even trees need a friend. And painting has allowed me to meet so many people and make so many friends. That's probably the most rewarding part of this whole thing, is all the friends that we've made traveling all over the country and people watching the shows.
Not every Bob Ross loving family has a painter in their midst.
My ringtone is the Bob Ross theme song because I was so tired of getting spam calls. Like now I'm not even annoyed. You know what I mean? I just let it play out. My name is John Lesko. I'm from Westchester, Pennsylvania, and I'm a UPS driver.
John Lesko's a big fan of the joy of painting and of the letter J. His twin sons are named John and Jackson. And to keep me on my toes, John's dad is here too. He's also named John.
I've been a fan since I was 10 years old. My dad and I used to watch together on PBS Philadelphia Saturdays. We would make time to just sit there and watch it. And it was engaging and it was fun and it was...
We spent time together?
Yeah, we spent time together, which was great. Yeah. And we spent time with Bob.
Hi, I'm glad you could join me today. Thought today we'd just do a beautiful little painting. It has a lot of beautiful colors in it, and we'll have a good time.
Bob's always kind of been a part of my life. And then what was so cool about the advent of like YouTube and that sort of thing was all of a sudden he was way more accessible on a more regular basis. And on, I don't want to say my schedule, but it wasn't just Saturdays. at noon.
In between watching Bob paint landscapes, John and his dad spent a lot of time bonding outdoors. Wherever they were in nature, Bob seemed to be with them.
We did a lot of camping and hiking and backpacking, and we spent probably some of the best times we've ever spent together talking about Bob or making mention of some fact that wasn't there, and oh, now I see it.
When younger John had some Johns of his own, it was only natural that he introduced them to the fuzzy-haired painter he loved from the TV.
So it was just a natural sort of thing, like, hey, you guys like creativity, you like to see what you can do with your hands, check this guy out.
The way he talks and the way he just like magically can like paint anything in like a matter of minutes, it like puts you in a trance. Just the way he does it, it's like truly magical to watch.
And you touch this canvas and all of these fantastic little colors just begin to happen. And people think it's magic.
I feel like the fact that we're honest and true to each other about like who we are, like really makes us feel open to each other and connects our energy and strengthens it so we can have a lot of fun and do a lot of fun things together. Like watching Bob.
That's a mature. How old are you? That's a very mature response.
It is.
13.
It's nice to see young people get excited over something like this.
But the cool thing about it is spending time together and being immersed in magic. That's just who we are, and that's part of like Bob's world. I think if you're open to the magic, we receive that very well, and we enjoy that together.
Bob painted over 400 paintings for us on his TV show. And all the superfans seem to have a favorite.
It's a campfire scene, so he starts with a black canvas. And maybe this goes into our love for camping and scouts, but like just that mood, like you know what that's like. And just to see that glow and how it hit the trees and the water, and there's just a single silhouette of an individual just enjoying that campfire. I love that episode. And to that point, a lot of times when you did the black canvases, I thought that was so cool because here you start with absolute, and then in the white, you start with nothing.
Mm-hmm.
But somehow out of blackness comes this color.
Because you know, when you have the little campfire out there at night, things almost look unreal. You get all kinds of weird colors and shapes. They're beautiful.
What do you always ask me?
I was always asked, like, how did he really do, like, everything? Like, 4 strokes of a brush, now you got a sky. Like, and it's not just, like, one solid color. No, it's, like, the best sky I've, like, ever seen on a painting.
Isn't that a sneaky little way of making a beautiful, beautiful sky very easy? I thought you'd like it. Let's have some more fun.
He's not painting out of fame or money. He's painting out of joy. And I feel like when he paints out of joy, it brings the viewers joy, and everyone who like enjoys watching Bob, it makes everyone feel like a big part of a family, just filled with joy because of the way Bob like influences our lives. Mistakes are happy accidents, like that's finding the joy. Giving little bushes friends, that's finding the joy. Like Bob just knows, he knows how to find the joy in everything. And I feel like when he paints, he tries to like show you that like there's joy everywhere. You just have to find it.
Really cannot make a mistake here. And as you know, we don't make mistakes. We have happy accidents. And very quickly, you learn how to work with anything that happens on canvas. And that's really when you begin experiencing the joy of painting. Get in a little plug there.
And there you have it. Families who love Bob Ross. I want to thank my guests. One more stop. Did you just hear that little kid talk about the joy of Bob Ross? How are we going to top that? Okay, fine. Where are we going?
I'm Kelly Kramer. We live in Richland, Missouri. This is my granddaughter, Bailey.
I'm Bailey Moore. I live out in Falcon, Missouri.
And I'm Ashley. I'm Bailey's mom. I'm actually the daughter-in-law.
My name is Victoria Kramer. I'm currently a PhD candidate. Hopefully in about a year and a half, we'll be graduating with a PhD.
None of the Kramer gals of Missouri have a PhD in art, but all 4 of them have been studying Bob Ross for years.
I had been watching Bob Ross since I lived in Hawaii in the mid-'80s and fell in love with it and never had the time or the means. And then when I basically retired, I said, I'm going to do this. And I found Janice. And when we moved back to Missouri, and the rest is history.
The Janice in this story is certified Bob Ross instructor Janice Bergen.
And I teach painting Bob Ross style, full time.
One day, while visiting daughter Victoria at college, Kelly Kramer walked into Janice's art store.
She had classes going on back there, and I found out about them, and I was like, oh, wow. I took a couple there. I really enjoyed it, and then I invited Ashley, my daughter-in-law, and my daughter Victoria when they could get away, and then Bailey when she didn't have school, because they all I said, this is really cool. I was showing them what we were doing in class, and we all just kind of migrated there.
It happens all the time. People just get excited, and I do demos for 5th graders, and half the class knows who Bob Ross is. 5th graders right now.
Once I was in that hobby store and I saw what was going on back there, and it looked wonderful, and I said, oh, I want to do this.
And so the seeds of joy were planted and quickly spread. First, to Kelly's daughter-in-law, Ashley.
So when we found out that Janice was doing the Bob Ross style paintings, I was like, oh my gosh, because I grew up watching him with my grandpa. Every time he would come on, we would sit there and watch, his paintings, and I just loved it. As soon as she said, hey, you guys want to come? I was like, oh, absolutely.
Ever since then, you might find any or all of the Kramer girls in attendance at Janice's Bob Ross painting classes.
They've been devoted.
They
have, and we love you.
Janice Bergen has a deeper connection to Bob Ross than most. She's been painting like him since the late 1980s.
Here in Springfield at that time, they had certifications. And so I went to get certified 3 different weeks at a time, and I got to meet Bob Ross the last time.
What was that like?
It was cool. We went to dinner together, and I sat at the table he was at. So it was just like in awe, like you just taking it all in.
Imagine it. There's Bob eating his pasta salad. There's Bob wiping the crumbs out of his beard. There's Bob putting his leftovers in plastic so he can take them home to his friends.
I put food out for him every day. And I'm crazy enough, I go out and talk to him. Of course, anybody that talks to trees would certainly talk to raccoons and possums.
Do the Kramers know the story? Do you know that Janice has broke bread with Bob Ross?
She's mentioned she's met him before, yes.
Yeah. Okay.
And it's like, it's like meeting a celebrity of our own.
So we're all living vicariously through Janice.
Yeah, 100%. Part of our path is that we're learning and we're growing as artists. And Janice is helping us through that path and navigate that. And when we first started, we were all very, very new to painting, and we didn't know the techniques, or, hey, how do you do that? Or, we still have to ask sometimes, hey, how are you holding your brush? Is that a certain angle, So Janice does a wonderful job of making sure that we understand, it doesn't have to be perfect. Just like Bob Ross always says, it doesn't have to be perfect. Whatever you did is perfect for you.
Anything that you want to do that makes you happy is right.
We are so thankful, and that's one of the reasons that we love going to Janice, is because she really embodies the spirit of Bob Ross and the way that he teaches and the way that he does his paintings. We never go away saying, I don't like this, or, I don't ever want to do this again. We're always like, I can't wait until we come back and do the next one.
Well, one thing I really like is that she also says, as Bob Ross always said, make it your own.
I'll get my fan brush. Take the old fan, go right into the Van Dyke Brown, load it full, decide where your tree lives, make a big decision, and zoom, drop it in. Drop it in. It's your world, so you put your tree wherever you want it.
And it's pleasant, and it's wonderful, and it's relaxing. For me, most of the time, I do get a little stressed. I'm better. When I first started, I used to almost cry and be, oh, this is going to make me cry. I'd look at the painting she was doing. I'm like, I can't do this, but I'm doing a lot better. So she's a wonderful instructor for sure.
Janice is like, she put the spin on it. She you can do this, but you can make it your own, make it unique, individual. You want it to stand out from the rest. And I treasure that, because every art teacher I've ever had is always like, you don't want it to stand out. You want it to look like the picture, or you want it to look like this. But finding something and then making it your own is more unique than making it simple and plain.
We really are not trying to teach you to copy with these. We're trying to show you how to make effects and turn you loose on the world. Because you can own the world.
I've struggled with perfectionism all throughout my entire life. And so doing this with Janice has really helped me be able to look at something and be able to see the imperfections and yet still see it as that's my vision. It's not really an imperfection. That's just like I'm able to move past everything. Doesn't have to be picture perfect. And that's something that I'm continuously working on and learning through these paintings, and it's been truly magnificent. Like, it's really been impactful in my life, because now I'm able to take that like outside of art, and I'm able to incorporate that into other aspects of my life as well. And so that's been really impactful in my life.
When you paint alongside the people you love the most, it's only natural to peek over and see what they're doing.
I do that all the time. Victoria generally sits right next to me, and I look over, she's the closest, so I see hers and I'm like, oh no, mine doesn't look anything like that. And first thing goes through your mind, I must have done it wrong. Janice affirms that no, it's yours, make it yours, and we all just kind of do our thing and make it our own. And generally, I think they all turn out good.
Yeah, we definitely, like, the beginning of class and you're going through the, different landscapes or, whatever. We're doing the clouds, or we're doing the mountain, or we're doing trees, whatever we're doing. And you're so focused on getting all that done. And finally you get to a point where you're like, I want to go see what everybody else's looks like. And you got to walk around and you go look at everybody else's, and they're all completely different. I mean, the same, but different. Like, there's so many different versions of what people see. And it's so neat because whereas she might think, oh, I'm doing this wrong, hers looks amazing. She has some kind of brush stroke in hers that nobody else has. And it's so unique and it's so different. That's one of the things that we enjoy, or that I enjoy about, taking Janice's class, is just also getting to see everyone else in the classes, perspectives. It's all about perspective.
And it's that perspective that has the Kramer girls coming back for more.
Monday.
Yeah, Monday.
Oh, wow. Okay. So
We'll all be there Monday.
Kramers, obviously this has bonded you as a family. What else do you do together as a family?
Well, one of our traditions right now is after we get finished with the Bob Ross painting class, we go eat Mexican food.
Yeah, we all go have dinner.
Is it like a detox, or do you talk about what you've just done? Do you commiserate over, or is that the hot topic of conversation over your tacos and margaritas?
Sometimes we do, yeah. Just life in general.
Oh, well, look how yours look, and mine look this way, and yeah.
I really like how Bailey did this.
Yeah, and I like, Yep, that's what we do.
And the next day it will just be a habit. You won't even have to think about it. And that just comes with practice. Doing it over and over and over. Repetition, repetition. All artists, don't care how they paint or what they paint, have practiced if they're good at what they do. It's not just artists, people in any walk of life. Those who are good at it, you better believe they have devoted the time to practice.
You don't have to be an artist to paint like Bob Ross, or to share your love of Bob with family. But just look what happens when you pursue that interest together.
We don't really have a whole lot of time on this earth with each other. And the more time that we can spend together, the more we get to, grow with each other and know each other and love each other, the more whole our life is. And whether it's painting or, going out to eat or, just simply spending time with each other, just hanging out, with the people that you love is really the most important thing. And that's really the joy of life.
Not just family, but friends too.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, we want
our loved ones.
Because it's not just about sharing Bob with each other. It's about sharing each other through Bob.
Being in a family like this, I'm able to just appreciate things so much more. It's great. Every time I see something, it's just, I love life. I love it.
And I thank you from the bottom of my heart for allowing me to be part of your activities and your family. Very special to me.
It's cool to think that so many people slowly over time got attached and grew a bond to this guy who just enjoyed painting.
Yeah, and then shared his gift with everyone.
The old clock on the wall tells me we've got another finished podcast episode. I want to thank my guests, Tom Carcutt and family, Carolyn Soletto and family, John Lesko and family, Kelly Kramer and family, and Janice Bergen. This happy little episode was produced with help from James Shapiro at Jansen Media and mixed by Digital Sound and Video of Daytona Beach, Florida. Support your local public television station and say thanks for giving us Bob Ross and the joy of painting. You know we want to see your paintings, so use #PaintLikeBobRoss. Bob Ross certified instructors are the only ones that know how to teach you Bob's world-famous painting method. Don't settle for second best. Find a local CRI at bobross.com and then click Take a Class. Got your own Bob Ross story to tell? Leave us a message at 866-FANBRUSH or email us at podcast@bobross.com. And you can follow us on Facebook at The Joy of Painting with Bob Ross. I'm Ron Scalzo. The Joy of Bob Ross is written and produced by me, Ron Scalzo, in partnership with Bob Ross, Inc. Bob Ross name and images, they're registered trademarks of Bob Ross, Inc.